And welcome back to another episode of the Drunken Nerd Podcast, where we love our beer like we love our video games, movies, TV shows, comics, all of the above. My name, as always, is Carl, and with me is my co-host, Shippy Longstocking.
Ouch. That was probably the worst one yet.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad.
I thought of that like 2 days ago, too. And I've just been sitting on it.
That gem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I grabbed that gem.
This week?
Yeah. How you doing today?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
It's one of those. It's Wednesday.
Yeah.
We should have done this a couple days ago,
I
but
know.
that's all right.
Also, like I feel like all right is about the best you can hope for anymore.
There's just too much going on.
Times are rough.
We hope people listen to this get at least a little reprieve of enjoyment from us being stupid.
Yeah, we're gonna stay away from the hardcore talk.
Yeah, there's enough of that. You don't need that
That's
here.
all anything is anymore.
You need drinking and you need some nerdy shit, and that's about all we can give you.
And speaking of drinking, what do we have here?
Oh, nice segue. Today, Carl, we are discussing...
Smells good.
Yeah, it's a beer from Untied Brewing Company.
Are you sure that... Oh, yep, never mind. I'm real stupid. I just looked at it. I'm like, are you sure it's not United? But no, it's definitely Untied.
So, yeah, well, yeah, it I would say you were forgiven for thinking that, and that is all caps, blocky lettering. So, quick glance at that. I could see where you thought it said United. But their symbol is a shirt with a necktie that's kind of loosened up. So it's kind of like you're after dinner drinking, or after work drinking, rather, not work.
Yeah.
I mean, you can drink it after work.
Well, you could drink after dinner. You
drink whenever you want. I don't care.
I usually have dinner after work, so...
It's about the right time.
Both are technically correct.
This one today is called Behind Schedule. It is a sour beer, or sour ale. It is a kettle sour, which, interesting enough, there's two typical ways of making sours. One way is you make a beer the normal way and add citric acid to it, and it sours it. Not sours it makes it bad, it just gives it that bitter, citrusy, sour. Or a kettle sour, which ends up being the proper way to do it if you want to give it a...
quote-unquote proper.
Quote-unquote.
Yeah.
Whereas you brew the beer and then you let it ferment in the kettling, you add some wild yeast strains, and it actually the yeast itself sours, creating the sour flavoring. So this one is made by, and that's generally what they call kettle sours. So this one's better, is more classified as a sour. They make two different sours. This one happens to be they make it with grapefruit, navel oranges, lemons, and lime. So this one's a very...
it says pineapple, guava, and mango on the can.
I misread it. That's the other one. This one's with pineapple, guava, and mango. Sorry.
Right. I like grapefruit too.
So, sours.
As far as the sour goes,
pucker.
It's one of the better ones I've had.
Yeah, I really don't like the citric acid one, because it's just a fake sour. It's like when you do think like a lemon head. It's not sour because of the lemon. It's sour because they add citric acid to the recipe, and it's just like that bitter pucker factor. Yeah. Without it being purposeful, other than to make you pucker. Yeah, that's the purpose. This is sour. This is more of a subtle sour, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a puckering effect to it, but
there is a bit of a pucker.
A knock you on your butt puckering.
Yeah. It
which
doesn't
is good.
knock you on your pucker.
Doesn't knock you on your pucker.
It just gives you a little bit of a pucker.
Pucker's
in
where
the
your
face.
mother. No, just kidding.
Too much.
It's never too much, Carl.
Excuse me, but
this is very fruity.
I'm normally against sour beers. Like I do not drink sour beers at all. But this, I could actually have a couple of these.
Yeah.
Specifically, I mean, this is 6%.
Yeah, 6.2%.
Wow. 5 holes. This is a 5-hole beer. Out in the sun, I think this would be a little better.
Yeah, this would be definitely one you want to sit out by poolside, beachside, some side.
Golf cart side.
This
is a 5-hole beer.
Link side. I mean, all those. Yeah, a little bit of sun. I think most sweeter beers tend to be that, or beers, wines, liquors, whatever the case may be. They're better suited when it's hot out. We're obviously in my house with the AC on, so it's not as applicable.
Yes.
But
so the reason I say this is 5 holes, it is 6.2%, so it's a little stronger. However, the flavor isn't one that you want to just drink quick, even in the sun. So I think it would be better in the sun, and it would be a good like pacing beer for while you're golfing. So you could get through 5 holes drinking these guys, and then you switch to water and or something lighter.
Yeah, you definitely have to cut the flavor eventually. Interesting enough, like if you went from this to a different beer, it's more likely going to mess with your palate, just because of the way things are, the fruit flavoring and the sour.
The flavor flow. Yep, flavor flow. Yeah, boy.
Big clocks and all.
Yep.
And the reason I say that is my wife was having one of these the other day, and I was drinking something else by Untied, and she was like, "Oh, let me try what you got." So I had it. It was a lager made with Hell's hops. It was a Hell's lager. Not the name of the beer, but that's what it was classified as. And she's like, "Oh, this is really sweet." I was like, "It's not really. I think your taste buds are just off because of what you just had."
Yeah. That's with anything sour. It'll get you.
That's why I think
it'll get you.
It'll get you right in the pucker.
Yeah.
Which one?
Right. Oh, that's for you to decide.
Oh, I don't want to decide that. No.
Ugh. Anywho, speaking of getting you, can we get an update on the neighbors real quick?
Oh, how is that applicable?
Because they got you with the chickens, and then they got you with the construction.
His backyard is a train wreck.
Ooh.
Yeah,
it is.
He has piles of stone from where he was jackhammering a couple weeks ago his patio.
My hope is that like this guy eventually listens to this podcast, not knowing that you're on it,
that'd be hilarious.
And he hears like what he's doing.
He goes, "Sounds familiar."
Yeah. Man, that's so crazy. Other people are doing this too.
That'd be hilarious. I doubt it'll happen, but it'd be hilarious.
But that's like my dream. That's why I keep asking for updates, because I hope one day he listens to these.
I do want to say that, like, so there's a tree that kind of sits on the corner of 4 houses.
Right.
It's in his property. So he cut down like most of the tree.
Mm-hmm. Did he leave the part that hangs over your property?
No, it's not actually over my property. It's just kind of close to my property.
Oh my god, that would have been awesome.
But it's still like, it basically looks like a whole nother tree at this point. He left it basically as the
stump.
No, because it's not a stump.
Root.
He left it as basically a tree, but so it was like a 3-story tree. It was established, well-established tree. It had been there for a long time. He cut the top off of it and left the trunk of the tree. The trunk.
Yeah,
it's not the right word, but I don't want to say shaft.
The tree shaft.
Tree shaft
is still protruding.
He had it to where it was forked into 2 separate trunks, and he cut everything else around it. And we thought he was gonna cut down the whole thing, but now it's gotten to the point where like the tree has come back.
Is it like a fancy bush?
No, it's a whole fucking tree. That tree right there.
Oh, that tree?
That's the tree he cut down.
Gigantic tree?
Yeah.
Oh.
He cut it down to where, like,
just for a little visual learning, we're on the 2nd story of this house, and the tree is taller than I can see out of the first half of the window.
I mean, it's a 2-story tree. Still.
At least.
And it was like, I mean, if you look at it, there's
that
tree over there.
Taller than that. Yep.
That is definitely like a 5-story tree.
Yeah.
In his yard. It's a well-established tree.
Those trees are too tall for the state of Jersey. Jersey's everything just supposed to have a small personality.
Is that the small shaft personality?
Sure. That's Jersey strong right there.
That's true. Anyway, so that's the update on my neighbor. I don't know what he's doing. He's back there doing something right now. I don't know what he's doing.
Well, as long as he's not jackhammering. Or, hey, you know what I bet he would have enjoyed having to cut that tree down? Homelander's laser vision, because that cuts through everything.
Apparently, or nothing.
It cuts through the tension.
Does it?
No, this series is nothing but tension.
That reminds me, Carl. I think we're talking about the last 4 episodes of season 1 of the Boys, aren't we?
L Boys, we established.
That's right. L Boys
episode. L
Boys.
Boys. But other than that, yes, you were correct. What the hell was that?
I think it was my phone.
Oh,
yeah. I got an email. It vibrated and Carl freaked out.
it's the weirdest sound.
It was vibration. It was vibration on wood.
It's strange.
The table.
It was strange.
For you.
L Boys.
L Boys. All right. So, what's the plot of the last half of the season? We're ignoring the first half at this point.
Okay, just talking about the second half.
We're trying to stay just in the second half.
Okay.
Because if you want to listen to us talk about the first half, listen to episode 5.
Yes.
This is episode
However,
6.
we will wrap the whole season at the end of this episode.
Agreed. We'll give our impressions on the whole thing.
Okay, so you're essentially asking me what the story was. Second half. It focused more on Carl Urban's backstory, Homelander's personality and story, and Starlight's backstory and who she is becoming.
I agree with that.
And also, Huey is the worst.
We did establish that, but yeah, all these characters are. I will recant and say that in the last half, I appreciate Starlight's character, and I think she's become the only person of any value.
Absolutely.
In this series.
I felt that way for the first half, and I feel like it continues on through the second half, but she gets stronger.
Like she grows. She definitely grows.
Like, she's not only the only likable character.
Finally stands up for herself.
Yeah. Well, she's the only character that actually believes in something, and then
maybe you kind of see come back a little bit at the end.
Yeah,
but yeah, so like in episode 5, you get Starlight. Basically, almost the majority, I'd say half of the episode is them at the
Christian
camp. Well, no, it's not a camp. It's a revival. There's music and da-da-da.
Pray the gay away and all that other nonsense.
Right, by the one superhero that is proven to be bisexual when Huey goes into that club.
Stretchman. What his actual name is beyond me. But
Ezekiel, I think.
Ezekiel. Oh, you're good at this.
Yeah.
He's got stretch powers.
He got stretch powers. That's it. Because you see him on the stage go, I love the world this much. His arms go to the other side of the stage.
Just as corny as it should be.
Yeah, it should be corny, I guess.
For something like that,
yeah.
Yeah. This episode is also where Huey really starts to take a turn to being the worst person. Like, he uses his ex-girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, his widowed girlfriend's death as a tool to get closer to Starlight. And he also uses Starlight to get to Ezekiel so he could blackmail him. That one he did at the urging of Carl Urban, but the other one, like where he uses ex-girlfriend's death, he did that all on his own.
You also see him, he becomes better and more accustomed to lying, just flat out. Like, he's okay with it. That's fine. I mean, at this point, what is the timeline of this show?
That's a great question. He says 2 weeks ago when he's talking to Starlight about his girlfriend's death.
Okay.
So apparently the first 4 episodes take place over the course of 2 weeks.
So he was super distraught, super angry at A-Train in the first 2 weeks. I would say he spent maybe 2 days really being distraught about it more than anything.
And then he met up with Carl Urban.
And now all of a sudden 2 weeks later he's made a 180 and
he's a manipulative prick.
Shit. Yeah. Little shit.
Yeah. Which I will give them this. This is actual character development. Like, something that I was complaining about in the first 4 episodes. Like, the characters actually have clear-cut paths starting in episode 5 and for the rest of the season.
Yeah. And why do we, speaking of that, why do we wait till episode 6 to finally get backstories?
Like, see, that is a golden question right now.
It's an 8-episode series. And I had to wait till episode 6.
75% of the series, you had no idea why anything.
And it wasn't until episode 6 or 7, I can't find it in my notes, where you actually get Carl Urban's character call themselves the boys.
Yeah.
It's the first time.
I think it was
Janice and I were sitting there in
7.
I think it was 7 because he was on the phone.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was
I'm
on
with
the phone.
the boys.
Yeah.
That's all I said.
Yeah. And we both looked, my wife and I both looked at each other and go, that's the first time anybody's ever called themselves the boys.
Yeah.
So caveat, and we'll talk, maybe we'll do a recap on this. I actually, after watching the first couple episodes, I actually bought the first omnibus of this comic because I didn't realize this was based on a comic, but it is. And
Dark Horse.
I don't know. Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know. But it's written by comic writer Garth Ennis, who wrote the Predator series, or not Predator, Punisher series, which you're wearing a shirt that's very similar to. Mm-hmm. It's an homage to. I get it.
It's the Punisher, but he has a cat head, so
it's called the Pernisher.
The Pernisher.
Yeah. It's a nice shirt.
That's a good pun.
That's a good pun. I like it. It's a good shirt. I
appreciate that. Thank you.
But Garth Ennis wrote the Punisher series. He's written other really good series. He wrote Preacher, which is a good series.
You say he wrote it. Like, is he one of the people credited with founding the Punisher, or he just wrote a very popular series of the Punisher?
I think he created it. Don't quote me because I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure he created it. But he wrote this as well, The Boys. So I have the comic. So I'm gonna read it, and we'll come back to this as a special episode, and we'll talk about the comic. See how it compares and contrasts.
Well, at least touch upon it. I could do that.
But back to the way they write this. They finally, like I said, have some backstory. There's purpose. You understand what their motivations are. Finally, I actually start to understand Huey and Annie's relationship. Like, it actually seems to have a reason for existing. You don't agree? Annie starts to actually seem like she cares about Huey.
Yes.
Huey's just a manipulative twat, but...
Yes.
So...
I think he initially started out with the right, mindset to, care about Annie. But then, Carl Urban corrupts his mind a little bit, and then Huey just runs with that.
I don't think he takes any... I think once he killed...
Invisible Man,
Translucent, that was just kind of a snapping point, which I understand. There's a psyche snap when you kill someone.
Sure.
I don't understand that. I can't understand the concept of it.
How many people have you killed? I've killed 4.
I'm going to count 1, 2, not 0. But you've killed how many?
4.
4. Yeah. Was that in-game or out-of-game?
What game?
The game of life, Carl.
The game of life? Yeah. No, I've definitely flicked the little cars off the board before.
That Milton Bradley game of life.
Yeah,
I've done that game of real life.
Yeah, I've done that at least 4 times. Flick the car right off the game board.
So, mass casualties by flicking.
Yeah. Who's to say that was only one person? Some of those cars were filled 6 deep. as they are one to do.
It's our one to do. Oh, terrible. But yeah, I mean, what was I saying? Now I'm sidetracked. Can't lie. But I start to actually understand motivations in this. It starts to make more sense. I mean, you start to understand. So fast forward, the whole series, you think that Carl Urban's character, Billy Butcher, his wife is gone. You think that she was raped by Homelander because he says it, and video somewhat suggests it. He gets a video in episode 7 or 8 from someone high up in the CIA.
Part of his backstory also.
Yeah. So, and the person who comes to him is I have video of Evans, and obviously at some point his wife meets Homelander at a party. She used to work for Vought.
She worked for them at the time that she met them, and Homelander's like, I want you to be my personal PR lady.
Right, and there's video of her going with Homelander into his suite or whatever.
For 3 hours.
3 hours. She comes out and she's disheveled. And somehow we're supposed to believe that in those 3 hours she got raped, but pretty sure that was a willing act between her.
Yeah.
She didn't look distraught to that extent.
Given how the series ends, I definitely think it was
spoiler
consensual.
Alert, she's alive.
Yeah.
And has a kid that's definitely
Who is Homelander's kid.
Yeah.
He looks like him. They did a good job of casting the kid.
They did. I would agree with that. The blonde hair, the laser beam eyes. Yeah, it's hard to find a character, an actor who's got laser beam eyes.
But they found him.
They did.
And let alone one with blonde hair. Like, what are the odds?
Remarkable.
What are the odds?
Whoever did the casting for that one.
I wonder if he's Australian, too.
Did you catch that joke at the party?
Oh.
So, we talked about, I think, last week where Carl Urban's obviously from New Zealand, the actor.
All the best actors are from Australia and New Zealand.
Right, exactly.
Except Mel Gibson. No. Yeah, exactly.
The actor who plays Homelander is actually from New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand. I apologize to any Australians listening to this.
All 0 of you.
Yep. All none of you. When I said, is he also Australian, I therefore implied the actor playing Homelander, his last name is Starr, I believe.
Starr, yeah.
I implied he was from Australia, when in reality he is a Kiwi. He's not Australian. Carry on with the story.
So there's some point where Homelander, he's coming down the stairs and he's talking to Carl Urban. Carl was talking in his normal accent, and Homelander has an American accent, even though they're both. And Homelander looks to Carl and goes, "I like the accent," and walks away.
Oh, okay. I didn't pick up on that.
No, but that's like the nod to the actor is actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's a little entertaining little piece of whatever I picked up on.
Yeah. Tidbit. That's all it is.
So yeah.
So okay. Basically, episode 7 is this Christian festival.
No, it was episode. Was it
5?
5, yeah.
Yeah, but we said 7 for some reason.
Seven is the joke about the accent.
That's why I got mixed up. Okay, so essentially all of episode 5 is the Christian festival, where Starlight at first actually does sell out, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm a virgin," even though
she's in the teen Christian group, and they're like, one girl's asking about her boyfriend, like her previous boyfriend she had, and then, "Oh, did you guys do stuff?" And she's like, and the Christian leader looks at her and is like, nah.
Yeah.
You know.
But then at the end of the episode, she gets up on stage and she's like, "I don't believe in any of this. I believe, like, you should believe what you want to believe.
Yeah.
But I believe that I actually believe you should believe in yourself, not believe in the belief."
Hey, Katie, how many times did Carl say "believe" right there?
I tried.
Let us know.
I tried as many
You
as
did
I
try.
could.
I could see.
But anyway, she actually stood up for what she really believed in. And she made a really good point. And then she got, like, shunned by everybody. Everybody except Huey, which I don't even know if he actually agreed with her or if he just thought it was another manipulation piece. I really don't like Huey after these last 4 episodes.
No. That's why I'm interested to read the comic and see how these characters are different in the comic versus how they're written for TV. So we'll get there.
Yep. Episode 6.
Well, that's what we're doing is episode 6.
No, we just covered 5.
Oh, I think that's episode 6 of us.
Moving on to 6. Oh, yeah, this is also episode 6 of us.
That's why I was confused.
I don't know if I would declare that in the middle of it, but it's something I would do.
Why not? I don't know.
Yeah.
One thing back to episode 5 for a second. At one point, you have Huey and Mother's Milk. I couldn't think of his name. I want to say Martian Manhunter because all I wrote was MM in my notes. But Mother's Milk, they're talking over walkie-talkie. They're in the same fucking venue.
Yep.
Like, "Hey, where you at? Cool. I'll be there in 2 seconds."
Yep.
Literally, just go. Especially when you're in a crowd. Both are in an extremely crowded area and are talking very sensitive information about what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But we're just gonna talk. Like, just go find a fucking corner behind a tent and talk about it.
Sure.
But I digress.
Yeah. They did a good job of using walkie-talkies, though. Keeping that walkie-talkie industry. Big walkie-talkie. They gotta wet their beak.
The big walkie-talkie. Got their hands in everything these days.
Yeah, you know it.
Was that Sonyo or whatever it is? The old
Sonyo?
I don't know. Maybe shut up at this point.
Combination of Sony and Sonya Blade.
No, there was the Sanyo. That's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah, that is the thing.
Thank you. Episode 6. What'd you think of that random Haley Joel Osment?
Dude, okay. So Haley Joel Osment was a child actor. He was a really good child actor. Then he just left the spotlight for years, and now he just does cameos.
Really good child actor. He had one good
No,
scene.
then he was also in that movie where he was a robot or something.
You'll have to be more specific because I don't know what you're talking
That's about as specific as I can get.
Touche. So let us know.
So anyway, but then he left the spotlight for years, and now he does really random ass cameos in things.
He's famous for being Haley Joel Osment rather than being decent. His sister was actually in a show back in when she was a kid.
But he was in that Zac Efron Ted Bundy movie.
I never watched it.
The unspeakably wicked, unnervingly horror.
I know what you're talking about.
He was in that for a minute too.
He's been in a bunch of stuff, and he's always just like.
But he's great. Like he's actually a great actor.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
And in this show, he plays someone that when he skin to skin contact, he can read their mind and see into their thoughts.
Yeah.
So he can see their history as well as what they are thinking at the current moment in time.
I would say his one character, Mesmer, has more backstory in one episode than the entire cast has throughout the entire fucking thing.
Up to that point.
Yeah.
Because the next episode is the Carl Urban backstory episode.
Yeah, exactly.
So up to that point, yeah.
But you get he was a child superhero, and then now he hates superheroes, so that's why they enlist his help, trying to figure out.
But he did something to, like, he had like a drunk in public or something that got him kicked out of like the love of the Seven.
Yeah, and then he's got a daughter, so
she wants nothing to do with
the
him.
boys use the daughter's leverage to try and get Haley Joel Osment's character.
Shit, you can't even make that an acronym. HJO. Show. Can't say that. It doesn't flow out the tongue. But anyway, they're trying to the girl, as we talked about in the first half synopsis. The girl.
The female.
The female. Yeah, sorry.
The character's name is the female.
I really went over the limit there, calling her a girl.
I thought you were talking about his daughter, for Haley Joel Osment's character, for a second.
The female, she's nonverbal. So they try and get Haley Joel Osment to see into her mind so they can figure out who she is and what she's doing.
How she has superpowers.
Long story short, they find out that she's part of a terrorist militia that has been juiced with, what is it, Preparation G?
Preparation H?
Preparation G?
No, it's called...
Serum
No, what is it called? Oh, God, I had it.
So they rub Preparation H all over their bodies. They inject it.
They inject it into babies.
They inject it into babies to create superheroes. Serum.
Something V. What is it?
V.
Compound V.
Compound V.
It looks like blue Kool-Aid.
I was a step away. But
maybe a 6-foot step, but sure.
So Compound V. They found out she was injected with that, and then it was unclear at that point in time whether she joined the terrorist militia or if she was part of the terrorist militia from the get-go.
Well, she was thrown into the terrorist militia, you come to find out.
Well, you later find out that Homelander sold or gave, essentially, Compound V to all these babies of different terrorist militias just to ensure that Voight Industries would always have someone to fight.
It's unclear whether he did that because Voight told him to, or he's just doing it because.
What I took from it was he took it upon himself.
That I did too. And I wrote in my notes that he's basically the ultimate supervillain. He's making supervillains to fight.
He's doing what Voight did in The Watchmen. Adrian Voight.
Yeah. Saying where we're going with that one. Yes.
Like he created supervillains,
which in The Watchmen,
so that the world could unite against them.
Well, and that's not what Adrian Voight made the
octopus.
The octopus that fell from came in and then pissed baby octopus on people
to blame Dr. Manhattan on it or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So he basically created his own problems so they would be relevant.
But he did it to stop the world from nuking itself, because The Watchmen takes place during the Cold War. This dude does it to give himself a job and more money in the future.
He's got a huge inferiority complex.
He's got so many complexes.
His mama complex, his
there's
inferiority
so
complex.
Much going on.
I don't know what's going on with this character.
This is the biggest problem I have with this show, is there's so many like single scenes that never lead anywhere, but they just exist because it's like, hey, this is edgy.
Yeah.
Or this is different.
Like, and that's why I wonder, going back to the comics, like I wonder if they're taking too much of the source material and trying to compress it. Because, I mean, obviously a comic is it's a well-established comic. It's been
Yeah.
out for a while. I don't know the date. Don't quote me. I don't know. But it's been out for a while. It's got like 5 omnibuses that I saw.
So you feel like they're taking specific scenes or things from the comics, throwing them into the show as kind of like a crowd pleaser, but then they don't hash them out like the comics do.
I don't know if it's meant to be a crowd pleaser because I feel like it's a fairly less known, underrated comic in general. The property.
You didn't even know it existed.
I didn't know it was a comic until I started researching the show.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a show written as an anti-hero show.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of just there's so much going on, and Garth Ennis is such a prolific writer, and his characters tend to be very deep and multidimensional.
Well, I mean, the
Punisher, Preacher, there's a lot going on.
I don't know the Preacher at all. But
The Preacher, they actually came up with a show,
The Punisher.
and it's a pretty good show.
Yeah.
It's 2 seasons, but yeah, I think they're trying to draw in too much. And actually, when I was looking at the comic, there was some people commenting about the comic versus the show, and talking about how the show doesn't do enough to basically explain the personality of Homelander.
No, it doesn't.
At all.
It doesn't do it for any character other than Carl Urban 8 episodes in.
Yeah, 7.
Whatever.
Might as well be 8, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that's what I'm wondering is like
Carl Urban. What's his name in the show?
Billy Butcher.
Butcher. Okay, Butcher.
Billy Butcher.
Okay. So I can stop saying Carl Urban every time.
No, we'll keep calling Carl Urban. That's fine.
Carl Urban is the greatest. So there's just speaking about the random shots that are just like, ooh, controversial, and they don't go anywhere.
No.
Homelander laying on that lady's lap and like sucking her fingers like it's like mother's teat.
Well, because he's got mommy issues.
Yeah, but it doesn't actually. That's the end of it, because the next scene that they really have together, it's a relationship. It's not that.
Right, and then at the end of towards the end of episode 8, he kills her.
Yeah,
Because he was like,
straight up murks her.
I told you don't lie to me, and burns. Speaking of which, how does he have enough control over his laser vision that he burns straight into her? Doesn't kill, like he kills her obviously, burns her eyes out, but doesn't go through the backside of her head.
Oh, he's really good at that.
In the flight episode, the terrorist flight episode, he cuts right through and destroys everything.
I think that actually, you bring that up, that may speak more to his character. Like it almost shows that he has that control, but he cared that little on the plane.
I'm with you on that one too.
It's almost like he intentionally did that to the plane so he could give that corny speech to get the people behind him.
Think? I'm trying to think
it's
back
possible.
to that. It's very plausible. I'm very much I can get behind that.
Like given his character, like that. Yeah, that's.
I can very much
possible.
get behind that. But I also want to know if he just got carried away, and the whole speech was just like, "How do I turn this around to please Voight?"
But even just like
Vought. They're Vought.
Vought. Oh, Voight is Watchmen.
Adrian. Yeah.
But just the way he acted on the plane, he literally he did all the right things, then intentionally destroyed the controls, it looked like, and then he's immediately like, yo, we gotta bounce. Like, it felt like he intentionally set that up to be a disaster that it was, so he could do what he, say what he said.
That's good. It is a very good possibility. I am not discounting that by any means. I don't know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a detractment from the show is you don't know. They don't explain any of that shit. What did you think about the Deep finally getting his dues?
His comeuppance?
His comeuppance.
That's another issue that I have with those random scenes that they just threw in there just because, ooh, edgy. Like when he's trying to hook up with that girl.
Yep. He's in Sandusky, Ohio now because he got demoted basically.
Because he's
sexually
assaulted Starlight.
Well, and he comes out with that bullshit. I'm sorry, I did
the
this.
bullshit apology. Yeah.
The PR stunt.
So he gets sent to Sandusky, Ohio.
Put up in a Best Western kind of thing.
It was nicer than a Best Western.
Okay, it was a Homewood Suites.
Okay, I'll give it that.
Maybe at Fairfield.
Maybe.
It had a kitchenette.
Yes. But so very shortly after getting there, he starts hooking up with this girl that he takes back to his place, and she sticks a finger in his gills,
which are in his stomach. Why are gills in his stomach?
I don't know. I guess relative to where a shark's gills would be, that's kind of close.
Not even, but okay.
I'm reaching.
Sure.
But so she sticks a finger in his gill. He says, "Ow, don't do that. That hurts." And she like literally forces him down and just does that while she touches herself.
Yeah.
That they never address that again for the rest of the
I
show.
think the Deep, they couldn't figure out how to write him, make it so he has some sort of closure. I don't understand why they
he
bothered.
cries and shaves his head.
Yeah,
like,
he
2
loses
episodes
mo- yeah.
later. But like that's unrelated to that. That was after he got his lobster friend killed.
Well,
He was told he couldn't join the Seven again. That was why he did that, not because
he lost
of the
his
sexual assault.
Right, exactly. He lost his mind because his whole world got turned upside down. And he's not able to come back to New York, which he thought he was coming back. And then the hotel manager was like, "Nah, brah, we got told you're staying here for a while."
So like, if they made his sexual assault scene happen and then he had a breakdown, that's actual character development. However, that scene happened, and then there are several more scenes of him just carrying on his life as normal.
Yeah, he tries to save the lobster, and then the butcher's like, "Oh, let me help you out," and cuts the puts a knife through the lobster's head, which is the most humane way to kill a lobster if you're going to boil it.
Yeah. But then, like, it's not that causes him to start second guessing his ways. It's the fact that he can't go back to New York.
He can't go back to his old ways.
And
so
like,
it's not that he learned a lesson.
Yes,
it's that he's hurt.
That's the problem I have with it.
Right. Why have that development of, oh, well, this is how...
Yeah, why have that scene at all?
That made no sense.
It didn't add to his character. It didn't take away from his character. They just threw a scene in there that they felt was edgy. And it was just weird.
Why even have the Deep still in the show at this point?
Yeah, they should have killed him off with that dolphin.
Well, you don't need to kill him off. Just
it would have been funny.
It would have been funny. I agree with that.
He flew with the dolphin.
They just flew side by side, staring at each other.
Yeah,
no,
that would have been.
That would
funny.
be absolutely hilarious. But I'm saying is all you could say is, "Hey, we're sending you to Sandusky," and then someone else.
That's writing a character off.
Well, even if you say, "Okay, we need to make sure he stays in Sandusky," you could have had someone like Starlight be like, "Oh, is the Deep coming back?" And what's her face? Not Maeve. Not Maeve. The head of... No. Not
Queen Maeve.
The head of... Excuse me. The head of... What?
Maeve.
No. Starts with an M, but it's not. Whatever her name is.
Maeve.
The lady Homelander offs at the end.
Yeah.
Anyways, the mommy.
I don't know her name.
I don't know her name. I can't think of her name at the moment. But she could have just been like, "Oh, no, he's not coming back." Like, that would be there.
Oh, Maeve.
I think it was Maeve. No, that doesn't
Could have been
right. Maeve. Dick. But, like, you didn't need that. It added nothing to the show.
You didn't... Any scene that involved Deep in Sandusky could have been cut. Easily.
Mm-hmm. Just
write them off. This is what we talked about.
And then there's not the 7, it's the 5.
Sure. But this is what we talked about the last time. If these episodes were like 40, 45 minutes...
Yeah,
it would have been such a better show.
And would they have been able to sell it to more networks than just Amazon Prime? I feel like Amazon Prime is like where shows go to when Netflix has said no, and Hulu said no, and Fox said no.
Hey, but what about John Krasinski as America Man?
I missed what?
The Tom Clancy guy, Jack Clancy.
Oh,
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan.
Jack Clancy.
Jack Clancy.
That's on Prime. That was a decent enough show.
Never saw it.
Decent enough.
That's the problem, is they have decent enough. They don't have great.
And that's what I would define this show as, on the whole, is decent enough, not great.
Yeah.
Another thing.
Carl, do you have another thing to say?
I have another thing.
Okay.
You don't even know.
I do not know.
So another scene that they just threw in because edgy. After what's his name? Fast guy. A-Train gets his leg broke. He goes shoe shopping for some reason.
Oh yeah, then he gets racially profiled.
And he gets racially profiled. Which,
but it's okay because he's A-Train's. Well, not it's okay, but it's okay. The guard says it's okay now that he wasn't bothering him because he's A-Train.
Yeah.
A-Train is
after
A-Train.
the guard realized that they were being filmed.
Yeah.
So like, that was literally just thrown in there with no backstory and no follow through. Like, he gets racially profiled and then nobody ever talks about it again. In fact, the next scene you see A-Train, he's just pulling a train because his leg is healed enough, apparently. Well, he was on crutches while shopping for shoes. 10 minutes later in the show, he's pulling a train.
Well, and I think that he got back to training is because he was no longer recognizable as A-Train, except for, 2 of the 3 people who saw him. So he was still A-Train.
Yeah, so 66% of the people in the store recognized him as A-Train.
Which also shows that a superhero's costume is bullshit. You're going to be recognized regardless, because he wasn't in costume. He was.
So this show establishes both that you are invisible in costume, like your normal face is invisible in costume, and you are recognizable out of costume. Yep. So this show establishes that nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
There's no lore behind this. It's just like, oh, yeah, well, that's their explanation.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's the whole... They want to, I think, make light of the whole Clark Kent, Superman bullshit. Like, oh, he's wearing glasses.
Well, you need to stick to it or you need to ignore it. Like, you can't do both depending on what the scene needs.
Right. And
that's lazy writing.
That's the name of this damn show. But that goes back to Huey recognizing Starlight as Annie after meeting for 10 minutes.
Only after seeing her in costume, though. He saw on TV as Starlight, met her as Annie, and then when he saw Annie in costume, he's like, oh yeah, you're Starlight, by the way. Like, no shit.
He saw Starlight and recognized Annie.
Whatever.
Just continuity.
He saw them both the same day. One on TV as Starlight, one in person as Annie on the bench. Didn't recognize them. But then the next time he saw her in costume, he recognized her? Mm-hmm. What is that?
Yeah. I don't know. Sorry, going back to where we talked about the first time the boys is actually named, episode 8, because I wrote it down.
The last episode.
The last episode was the first time he actually calls the group the boys on the phone.
I don't know. I've voiced my frustrations. The show got better for the second 4.
So, are we done talking about the show? Like, in general, like the last 4 episodes?
Going episode by do you have any more notes? Like,
no.
You have the actual notes. Is there anything you want to touch upon in a specific episode?
No, I think we've killed this one to death.
All right. So, yeah, then we're done going episode by episode.
As a whole, speaking the entire first season, because, again, this has a second season coming in September.
Yep.
What do you think of it as a whole?
It's
I know.
The first 4 episodes are not good at all. Mm-mm. The second 4 episodes are okay with some high points because they get more into the characters.
Had this show been written to where, or at least presented, where the last 4 episodes were kind of first, and then you put the second episodes... The first episode, second,
you needed elements of the second, second.
The editing, they don't understand who. Where did the storyboard go? Who storyboarded this?
Yeah,
like
it's trash.
Every episode was written by one person. I think that's a problem. And one day we'll talk Star Wars, but I'm going to briefly say the reason why people hate prequels so much is because George Lucas wrote the prequels on his own, and George Lucas is not a writer.
The reason I hate the prequels so much is because they're really bad. Now you can finish.
Whereas the original trilogy, episodes 4, 5, and 6, were George Lucas handed notes to known scene like movie writers that had established careers as movie writers. Okay. So that's why they're better dialogue, better written.
Right. That's
that argument. We're not talking Star Wars. I'm just saying the fact that each episode is written by a different person. Maybe there's a overall arching concept. I don't know.
Each episode is written by a different person.
Yes.
And then you mentioned that the first 4 are directed by men. Written by men. So it's one man writing each episode and then one woman writing each episode. That is nonsense.
There's a couple. I think there's like one episode in the last 4, and I don't know which one, is actually like written by a man, but also written like co-written by a woman.
Why not have 8 writers get together and write 8 episodes?
No idea.
4 men, 4 women, sure, whatever. I don't care. Have it all women. That great.
Yeah,
all men.
The gender
Who cares?
is it doesn't matter per se.
Have those 8 people come together and write a show.
And I think typical TV shows do that, obviously. They have writing teams, and I think that the reason they have writing teams is because you have one episode a week. So they have the ability to write an episode, edit, and move on to the problem with streaming is all the episodes come at once now.
Yeah.
And they have to come all at once for some reason. And luckily Disney is starting to come back. Like The Mandalorian, one
wish
episode.
that was all at once. I would have loved to binge that show.
Well, Disney Plus did right by not doing it all at once.
I get what
from
you're
a business
saying.
standpoint.
Yeah. From my selfish
sure,
standpoint, I would have loved
absolutely
to watch The Mandalorian in the way that we watch this show.
Absolutely.
The Mandalorian is remarkable television.
Yeah. Agreed.
And this is like the definition of a C+, B-.
But we're also talking
to me.
Not that it should matter. Amazon should have more money than Disney. They just didn't throw any money at this.
Amazon and Disney are the 2 world powers right now when it comes to money.
Agreed.
So the special effects, the acting, the lighting, so even like
costumes,
the music, the way they use music to set scenes, remarkable. On this show, I'm talking about.
Yeah,
The
Boys. Yeah,
like,
Boys.
At one point in time, when the female gets stabbed by the Black Noir, and she
still don't know what his thing is.
You think she dies, and it starts zooming out, and Sunshine starts playing. You see the blood pouring out,
and and the wound closes up.
Yeah, but before that even happens, it's slowly zooming out from her. You think the episode is over. That's brilliant directing. That's a great scene. That's great music to go along with it. And then it zooms in and it heals, and you're like, oh, damn, I really want to watch the next episode now. That scene was incredible.
Yeah.
But the story is so bad.
Yeah, they literally skipped on the writing. And maybe that's what it is what's holding this show back for me is just the fact that they didn't spend any money writing. They must have spent all their money on everything else. They said, our budget's about $20. Who's still in film school writing shit?
Because they spent all the money on everything else.
Yeah.
There's even little things where there's a scene where Homelander's talking and he's standing in front of a TV and you could see it looks like a halo around his head. Excuse me. And then when he carries on his speech, he takes a step or something, and the halo's gone, and that's when what he's saying starts getting dark. There's symbolism in the way it's shot. This show is so beautifully shot.
I don't know how many people directed the show, because I know The Mandalorian had 4 different directors.
I mean, one of them was Taika Waititi too, who is, in my opinion, the best director.
One of the directors is Bryce Howard Johnson, or Bryce Johnson. What is her name? Her name is Bryce Johnson Howard? Is Ron Howard's daughter.
Bryce Dallas Howard?
Yes, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought Johnson.
I don't know what... I had no idea where you were going with that for a while.
But I'm saying is her father is a powerhouse in directing. She learned from him how to be a powerhouse director. So you have people who know directing that are able to direct from... So what I'm saying is I wonder how many people directed the show in the sense that there's a lot of different things. So we were talking about one episode where the female is... and all that stuff you were just mentioning, go back and re-listen if you want to hear it, because I'm not
That was
rehashing.
my favorite scene of the show, where I thought the episode was over because she died. They even said Ain't No Sunshine started playing. And I was like, wow,
that's some good vision. That's some
powerful
good thought process into the show.
And then even after that ended, it quickly zoomed in and showed that it healed and she was a super. And then it just clicked. I'm like, wow, that was amazing. And this is where the show is going now. And then it went right back to the lazy writing.
Yeah.
So the directing is there, the acting is there, the special effects are there. So why don't I like this show?
Because it's lazy writing. 100% this show, I don't understand. Those first 4 writers have ruined the show in all. If they had just kept the last 4 or 5 writers, whatever the case may be, I think we would have been okay. I think we would have liked the show more. Mm-hmm. And in talking to people who like the show, and I've talked to a few.
8 different directors, by the way. I just looked.
So 1 director per episode.
Philip
Seymour Hoffman. He's dead.
Nope. SGRICCIA. Screecia. I believe that would be
idea.
how that's pronounced.
No idea.
2 episodes. Daniel.
Yeah, 8 directors, and she did 2.
Yep. Daniel Atai. Oh, that includes 2020. So that person has also
so they
done
came back for
an episode,
the next season.
Episode 2.
Fair enough.
Season 2.
Yep.
Daniel Attias, 1 episode. Eric Kripke, 1 episode. Jennifer Fang, 1 episode. Steven Schwartz, 1 episode. Matt Schachman, 1 episode. Frederick Toy, 1 episode. Dan, another dumb last name, who cares?
Ouch.
1 episode. Trachtenberg. Trachtenberg.
I wonder if he's related to what's her face on Nickelodeon, who was on all that when we were kids. Can't think of her first name.
Just looking at like other stuff that these people have done. Frederick Toy, there's no other credits to his name. Dan Trachtenberg, he was a producer with 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Terrible movie.
Stephen Schwartz, The Walking Dead. All right, there we go. That's a real director. Like, I don't like that show, but I acknowledge that it's a good show. Maybe he directed
one of the last 4 episodes.
Yeah, where it gets bad.
No, the last 4 episodes where it gets good.
Oh,
so he had experience.
I thought you meant like The Walking Dead, where the last 4 seasons.
Oh no, yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah, this is a terrible show.
Jennifer Fang, I don't see anything. Eric Kripke.
So literally
Supernatural.
The show's been on for like 14 seasons.
Yeah, Daniel Attias, The Wire. Okay, so I assume he did one of the episodes I love.
Yeah. So basically, they took the first 4 episodes. They probably gave it to no-name directors who are right out of film school because it's probably cheaper.
Yeah.
They spent all their money in Kyle and Carl Urban, plus however many other actors.
Okay, so this Daniel Attias guy, if they gave this whole show to him, like The Wire, Sopranos, and 6 Feet Under, that is what he has directing credits on. They should have given him this show.
Right. But then you can't. The reason they don't is for the same reason I just mentioned about the writing, is you can't put out the entire show in one block, the entire season. And that's I think again the biggest problem streaming we have right now is everybody wants to binge a show. Shows like this, like it'd be better off doing 1 episode per week. Mm-hmm. And let people digest an episode.
Sure.
Sit there and think about it. Instead of just like throwing it out there. And I
Which
understand
is what
with a lot of things, but
like throwing it out there is almost what the people want because we live in like a binge culture.
We do.
But like the slow burn of The Mandalorian may have made it better.
Agreed.
Because like the Jawas episode in The Mandalorian, it was ridiculous. But it was the episode we got for that week, and then I was able to think about it. I'm like, wow, you know what? I would be mad too if I had to hunt this crazy rhino creature for these little men that will then fix my spaceship. Yeah. But like the episode itself is ridiculous. So if that was just one of 3 episodes I watched in a row, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much.
Yeah. You would be thinking about the show as a whole versus episode by episode and looking at how each episode plays out in the Mandalorian's saga of the show, obviously. Whereas this show, I appreciate the fact that we took 2 weeks to do this show.
Yes, definitely.
If we had sat there and tried to do the entire season in 1 episode, I would have different perspective.
I'll say that right now. I would have stopped.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know if I would have ever gotten to episode 5. I would have given up after like 3.
Yeah,
like there's no way I can sit myself through this for another 7 episodes or 5 episodes.
The only thing I think we could have done better with this is if we did 2 episodes, and we kind of tacked it on for lighter episodes, like for our podcast. So like we covered, for sake of argument, the Spider-Man PS4 game, and we didn't have much to say about it. So we talked a half hour on that, and then the second half hour we talked about 2 episodes of The Boys.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I think we could have done better, because like breaking it down, I understand that like 4 of these episodes are much better than the other 4 episodes.
And I don't understand why they have to be so different. You're talking about dichotomous concepts of we hated the first 4 episodes. Hated. I texted my brother and I was like, I hate. Jokingly, I said, I hate you for making me watch the show. Mm-hmm. And he was like, why? I was like, just listen to the podcast and you'll understand why I'm mad about it.
Yeah.
And this week, I'm less angry about it. In fact, I'm not angry. Like, I enjoyed I enjoyed it enough, the last 4 episodes, and I think that my enjoyment level was dropped by my experience with the first 4 episodes, and the fact that they're so different. Mm-hmm. If the whole damn show had been written like the last 4 episodes, this would be one of the greatest shows on TV right now, or on streaming right now.
You could say that.
I just did.
I disagree. This show, like, the last 4 episodes were better, but, like, there was too much just random stuff thrown in that, like, it frustrated me.
Yeah. And I see where you're going with that. I agree with that.
So Dan, who, my buddy Dan, he listened to the podcast last week, and he's like, hey, even if you don't cover it for next week, you need to finish the season. Dan, no, I didn't. Like, the show...
No, I didn't.
The last 4 episodes pulled it up to a B- at best. Like, it's...
But
it's better. It's not good.
My point is, had the whole season been that way, could you have gotten at least a B+ out of the whole season?
Sure. Like, sure.
Okay. So, final thoughts on it. Will you watch season 2?
If we cover it for this podcast, yes. If we don't make that decision, I have no interest in watching season 2. I don't care.
Have you seen the trailer for season 2?
No.
It actually makes it look pretty good. Because now it's...
The trailer for season 1 looked good.
Well, fair enough. But now we have... Homelander knows the boys exist, knows what they're going after, knows that he's coming after them, which we missed out on talking about the... No, we didn't. Never mind. But we actually have a reason why the boys are going after the superheroes, and the reason why the superheroes are going after the boys. There's a...
And A-Train's dead. No, we didn't discuss that. But
he had a heart attack.
Nobody knows about that other than Huey and Starlight right now, as far as the show is concerned.
That's true. Yeah.
So the 7 is down to like the 3.
Yeah, Huey,
because Starlight's leaving. Starlight is out of there.
Out of the 7?
Yeah. It's Black Noir, Queen Maeve, who's most likely out of there unless she's like a Homelander spy.
Queen Maeve basically came back to Starlight and was like, at one point in one of the other episodes, Starlight goes to Queen Maeve and goes, oh, I remember when I was a kid watching your movies, you were my favorite, da-da-da, you had a reason, you broke your wrist, da-da-da, and then Queen Maeve at the end of, or in the middle of like episode 8 was like, oh, I really did break my wrist from stopping that train, da-da-da-da. Like, you can see Queen Maeve is starting to like...
She's on Starlight's side. She's not on the side of the boys, she's on Starlight's side, and Starlight seems to be leaning towards the boys. She's definitely not on board with the 7.
No. It's basically, I think it's going to end up coming down to everyone against Homelander. Homelander, which he still has...
Maybe Black Noir. Black Noir and Homelander, they may be a team.
Maybe. I don't understand Black Noir. I just don't get it.
Nobody cared. Nobody's cared enough to tell you why you should care.
I think that's my...
One way or the other.
Like, we looked up his powers last week, and he's a ninja.
That's his powers.
And he got his ass... Well, no, I guess he killed...
Yeah, he had that cool fight scene with the female. That was a good fight scene.
So
I can even say that... I said that the ending of that, where she died, was like a great scene. I could stretch that back even further to the fight. Mm-hmm. Like that... The ending of that episode was remarkable.
And the ending of episode... All of episode 8 was remarkable. I loved episode 8. There was a lot of give and take. There was, there
was a lot of like tell, don't show though. Like they explain so much. Even like Homelander, when he came to save the girl, but actually killed the girl. What's her name? That was the head of Vought.
Oh yeah, what's her face?
And he showed up. He's like, "Hey, I made another trip to this guy, and I made him talk." It's like, okay, I wanted to see that. Like, show me that. Why are you just...
But that also
exposition dump.
Well, that also... Because he says, I told you don't lie to me, and he kills her, and you're like, oh, shit, what's going on? And that set up the show of Billy Butcher's wife still being alive, and the child not actually being aborted or drowning or whatever the case... They had two different arguments. The scientist guy said the baby drowned.
Well, that's what led Homelander to actually go...
Right, he went back.
The hell out of the scientist.
Right, he went back to the scientist the second time because the scientist said
one thing.
He drowned. What's her face said that the baby was. It
was a miscarriage.
Miscarriage, yes.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh, well, that doesn't match, so I'm gonna go back." And then he comes back, and I told you don't lie to me. And you're like, "Yeah, obviously she lied." Like you got the lie earlier in the episode,
so it built the tension of the Butcher situation,
which was the only time I was surprised in the show when all of a sudden Billy Butcher wakes up. He looks over at Homelander and is like, "Hey, wake up, sleepyhead!" And then Billy Butcher's like, "Where the hell are we?" Because you see an explosion, you think he's in the yard of the house that he just got blown out of, but he really was captured, or not captured, but he was saved, quote unquote, by Homelander.
That's literally saved at that point.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Although I appreciate Butcher's character for the last episodes once they explained his backstory and everything.
Butcher is the only character that I liked in general.
I mean, Starlight is the only likable character. Likable, good guy, we'll say.
Sure. Virtuous, moralistic.
Yeah.
Yes. I liked Billy Butcher's character, and Billy Butcher reminds me of Punisher, and I like Punisher.
Yeah.
So, being written by Garth Ennis, both cases, so I could see both.
Like, Butcher's story is a good anti-hero story.
Yes, which is what the Punisher is. He's an anti-hero.
Yeah.
We should do that movie, too.
I love... the Travolta one?
Yes.
That's my God.
That's a good movie.
Can we do that next week?
Are we doing something else, though, next week?
Oh. Did I spoil next week earlier?
You did.
Oh, all right. So next week we're doing Spider-Man PS4. The week after that...
yes. Well, let's see if we can find it on streaming.
What?
I don't know where we can watch it. I don't know if it's on streaming or not.
I'll find it. Worst case scenario, I'll buy it on my Amazon Prime, and then I'll give you the login info. Because it's probably like $3 to rent right now. And then
or $15.
We'll both
one of the two.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's fair.
So 2 weeks from now, Tom Jane, John Travolta, Punisher. Get excited. I am right now.
Good movie.
I know. I'm so excited. I was so excited.
We just came up with this idea.
I know. You just listened to us hashing out an idea for a podcast. Anyway, so Billy the Butcher, very close to Tom Jane. Even down to the point, not Tom Jane, playing Castle, the Punisher. Even down to the point where Homelander's like, "Well, I killed her, so now what's your move?" And Butcher's just like, "Okay," blows the bomb up anyways. Like, that's a Punisher move.
Yeah. Which, written both by Garth Ennis and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it's there.
Again, I can't stress enough. There are aspects of this show that I love, but...
Not enough.
Man. Yeah. There's so much about it that I dislike.
So to answer my original question to you, I will say... No, it's all right. That's all right.
What was the initial question?
Will you watch season 2?
Oh, I stand by what I said.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. I get to answer it now. I will probably watch at least episode 1. If it's like the last 4 episodes, I will continue to watch it. As soon as it no longer catches me, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going episode by episode at this point.
It's tight walking, or tightrope walking.
Yeah.
For your interest.
Yes. And maybe we'll do... I think we'll do it as a podcast.
I assume we will, because we did season 1, and also how much new media is actually coming out right now.
Yeah, you and I were just talking about it earlier about one of our podcasts that we listen to. They're very similar in their concept, and they're kind of grasping at straws right now for their material because there's no new media, and they stay on new media. We go back into
we're still like new enough that we need to cover some stuff.
Well, and they're grasping at straws on some old stuff
because they've covered everything.
Yeah. They've been around for years.
They're 300 episodes deep.
Yeah.
Like, they're out of stuff.
So yeah, next week,
Spider-Man,
as we said,
PS4.
The PS4 exclusive.
Oh, yeah, it is PS4 exclusive.
It is PS4 exclusive. Yeah, Spider-Man, the video game, came out in 2018, I think. Something like that. So we'll talk that. We'll actually cover video games again.
Yes.
We haven't covered many video games.
No, we went...
the first episode we covered
video
games.
Game, movie, TV show, going back to video game.
Yeah. Some point we'll cover comics.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to cover Watchmen sometime.
We've talked about
that. That's like a multiple week preparation to do, though. That's a long comic to read the whole thing.
I got it over there. I also have the previous comics.
Oh, I have it too.
Do you?
Yeah. So that's one we could actually read independently. We don't have to borrow it from each other.
Right. Anyway,
Alan Moore. Shout out. Shout out to Alan Moore.
That's never going to listen to this podcast.
Nope. Only he would, though.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah. Watchmen is actually the comic that got me into comics.
Really?
Yeah.
I was in comics before that.
This was in college, so like Iron Man had already come out. I didn't care. I didn't see any Marvel movie until I read the Watchmen comic. First comic book movie I ever saw was Avengers. It was because that came out after I read Watchmen. And I was like, wow, Watchmen's amazing. So then
You know what's funny about Alan Moore? You mentioned him. He would think we are absolute losers in the sense that he thinks comics and all this nerd culture is for children and doesn't want you as an adult to enjoy it.
Shout out to Alan Moore.
Dude.
Also, shut up to Alan Moore.
That's pretty good.
All right, sometimes we go Korean and stuff. All right, so next week we got Spider-Man PS4. Week after that, we got the Tom J. and John Travolta Punisher, which I'm very excited about. Until then, grab a beer, open a book.
Also, catch us on line.
Oh my God, all that stuff. Oh my God. Yeah, at the Drunken Nerd Podcast, Twitter, Facebook, Gmail.
Which my Gmail is pretty lonely.
Yeah,
send us an email.
Email us in. We'll read it verbatim.
Chavez, send us an email.
Whatever it says. Anybody. We will read your email verbatim, and then we'll give you a personal shout out. Excuse me. Also, tpublic.com/Drunken Nerd Podcast.
Some stuff on there.
We got a little bit of merch. More merch to come, though. We got people working on some new designs.
I've heard some new designs are coming.
That's what I hear. By the people that I talk to about it.
Namely the person doing the design?
Yes. Specifically them.
So yeah, next week.
Oh, also, did I say Twitter? Twitter Drunken Nerd Podcast. You want to get at me? I'm the Carl Evans on Twitter.
If you want to get me on Twitter, you can't.
Yeah, just follow him by sending him an email at thedrunkennerdpodcast@gmail.com. That's the only way you reach him. He reads those. I don't read those.
Speaking of which, we actually we talked about a couple weeks ago Anchor. This week we're now on Google Podcasts.
We're on Google?
We're on Google Podcasts. So if you have an Android phone, you can catch us on the Google Podcasts.
All right, catch us on the Google, the Anchor, the Podbean, the other
YouTubes.
The YouTube.
Which is also Google.
We're on all of them. So catch us on the next week. We love you guys.
Yeah, till then.